Welcome to Inside the Paint, a roundtable discussion where our sports reporters dive deep into the Ironmen boys and girls basketball seasons. I'm Zachary Knox-Doyle, and as we head into the heart of the season, breaking all things down with me today are BJ, Bella, Ben, and Lucas. We're your courtside pass to all things Ironmen basketball. Ben, do you want to start us off with a quick recap of the boys' season so far?
Yeah, so right now, the boys, they're 18-3. Two of their past losses came this weekend, their only losses. Right now, they're 6-4A, and then their two losses came in the MLK tourney that came this weekend, where they beat Rockford East 75-56, and then they lost to Wabani Valley 38-40, and that's a pretty good team. They're undefeated. They're number 11 in 4A. And then they beat Glen Bard North 64-51, but then they lost to Downers Grove North 35-40. So I guess Downers Grove North just owns us this year in all sports. But before that, they had a pretty big win over number 10 in 3A, Peoria Richwoods, and that was a pretty electric game. You know, they have Richwoods has the number 3 player in Illinois, Lathan Somerville, and we held him to only 15 points, and then Raylan had 19, Jaheim had 11, and it was all around a good team win. So even though we took 2 losses, I think it was a good game to win before that.
And you definitely learned from your losses. And actually with Waubonsie Valley, they were 11th in 4A. This is where I messed up. They're now 4th in 4A, and that was just a 2-point loss. BJ, how about a quick recap of the girls' season so far?
Yeah, so right now the girls are 18-3, third in the Big 12. Unfortunately, they moved down to 6th in the AP poll after coming off 2 losses against Lincoln and P&D. Olivia's still playing great, though, averaging 16.8 points per game. Allie really stepping up as well, averaging 9.1. And obviously, you got Gianna and Raina still stepping up, doing what they can, especially Raina, not being able to make it to every game because of soccer. She's a big soccer player. But unfortunately, yeah, they do have two back-to-back losses against P&D and Lincoln. So Lucas can talk to you a little bit about the Lincoln game.
Yeah, so that Lincoln game was pretty crazy. It was a pretty lopsided score. Lincoln beat us 67-29, so that's not very good. But, I mean, that Lincoln team was one of the best girls basketball teams I've seen personally. They had a player who's going to Colorado State, Chloe Freebie. She had 27 points. She didn't even play the middle of the third quarter and fourth quarter, so she was pretty good. And then Olivia probably had one of her worst games that game. She only had 6. And we also had 19 turnovers. They ran like a 1-2-2 press, and we just really couldn't handle it.
Yeah, it's like every single possession we would get trapped in the corner at half every time, and we would try to pass out, but there wasn't anybody in the middle to get to that pass, so it would just get picked off every time. An easy layup. That's why it was 67-29. Yeah. It was a lot. 19 turnovers. That's like unacceptable.
Yeah, I know. I tuned into the game for like 5 minutes. I'm going to be honest, because I tuned in. We were down by like 20. And it was like 3 straight turnovers, and then I was out.
Not supporting the girls' team.
Hey, I tuned in. Okay. Yeah. Did you, Ben?
Yeah, I did watch them. Okay. I saw it. Obviously they're a pretty fast-paced team, so the turnovers are gonna happen. But then, like, if you get too many turnovers, then it's not gonna work out, and it didn't work out. And Chloe Froby's just tough. So
yeah,
that's all. It was wild because we really thought it was gonna be like a good game. Like we're thinking like, okay, this is gonna be a real good game. We're literally talking about it. We get up there and we start watching the game, and we're like, "Yo, Chloe, that's Caitlin Clark, bro." She was hitting every 3. It's like everything she was pulling. Like, you didn't even have to.
All right, Caitlin Clark's kind of crazy, but
it's not, bro. It's not.
You had to see it. You had to see it.
You had to be there, bro. They all had matching knee pads, bro. That's how you knew they was gonna win.
Matching knee pads.
Yeah. Then the game after that, they played P&D in the away game. That's another 20-point plus loss to P&D. Maya Wardle, apparently she's a really good basketball player going to Eastern Kentucky. She dropped 24. Like, what? There's gotta be some things we're not doing right now for the girls. I think, okay, look, if I could identify some like points where I think they need to improve, it's rebounding. Rebounding.
Yeah.
It looks like stopping their best player too, because giving up 24 points from one player.
Hey, chill. But I talked to Allie today, and I said that to her, and she agreed with me that they just don't rebound the ball. I think it's not because their height. They got tall players. They got Marco. They got Allie. Both Allies are tall, right? It's they're not boxing out, and they're not actively being aggressive to crashing the glass. Like they get out rebounded by every single game that we've watched.
Yeah.
You think they're trying to move too fast at times? Like because like they keep throwing turnovers and stuff. You think they're trying to like just get to the bucket and they're trying to get back on offense?
I
but then
don't think
they don't
so.
take time to crash the board.
I mean, I think in the first game we did against Richwoods, I think one thing that we noticed was when teams are able to set up their defense against us, we struggle scoring.
Yeah.
But, like when we're able to get out into transition, that's when we score. So
But I'm not even like when we were watching the game, we had some fast break layups that we just like we cannot give those up, especially against like Chloe and Lincoln. We can't do that. So I really think that crashing the glass is really something we got to work on for sure.
And I mean, missing fast break points comes when you're just kind of moving too fast, I think. And I've
Definitely.
seen now with the boys, fast breaks are probably like the thing they're the best at, but the fast paced is kind of the same. Like when we throw the ball away a lot, like we did against Thornton, I think. Yeah. When we threw the ball away all the time against Thornton, we were just moving too fast. And I think that's when we lose games. I wasn't able to catch the 2 games we lost in the Martin Luther King tournament, but that just seems to be a big problem. You just need to slow down. I think that comes with being in high school and like maturing, obviously.
I definitely feel like when I watch the boys' games, when they do get set up, they're able to get some good looks.
Yeah.
But when they do start moving fast and start to play iso ball, I think Nico he's really used to that Bloomington play style where he can just get the ball and shoot it and drop 30 every game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think part of that he still might be getting used to that different system. I think that's why, like you were talking about earlier, that Connor is so good in that system because he plays his role really well.
Yeah, and Connor's shooting 38% from 3. But then one thing I would like to point out, I think Nico is, especially in the Martin Luther King tournament, just looking at his stats, he shot 46% from 3, which is something we haven't seen from him this season because he's shooting 33% after those games. So I think he's really starting to understand the system. And I actually, if we could start talking about like some suggestions if we were the coach. So one thing I would do, I think it's going really well. But one thing I would maybe think about changing up the lineups, not necessarily the starting lineup, but if you could get Braylon, Connor, and Nico all there at the same time, kind of put Nico at a small forward, Connor at shooting guard, Braylon at point guard, that's 3 threats from 3. If you have threats from 3, then you can get it into the Jaheim, and that's been something they've been struggling with.
So you're taking Dexter out of the starting lineup.
If I had to, I mean, I'm not like trying to go after anyone. I think Dexter's done an amazing job, but just kind of thinking about, you got like 2 power forwards and a center in your starting lineup, which obviously you can use height to your advantage, especially if you have Dexter coming off the bench.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're trying to say though, because I feel like the team 2 years ago, one thing they were missing was like a really good 3-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And like there was a team with like Zach Cleveland and like Trey Red, and they were really good. But like when they ran into problems like in the postseason, because they didn't have like a knockdown shooter, which I think this year, I mean, Braylon shot really well this year, and of course Connor too. So
Yeah, and I think Braylon's just got a lot. Like he can do basically anything you need from him, but Connor he can. Okay, Ben. He can. Connor can really, like, he's the shooter, and he's putting up about 13 minutes a game. Do you think those minutes should go up or no?
Yeah, well, I think the one thing that community is going to have like a problem with the boys team, I think they're going to have a trouble with like when they start facing the really good teams. Braylon's like basically the like primary ball handler on their team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, if you keep the ball out of his hands, like it's going to run into a problem of like where else do you go on the team? Because like if you get like Noah and Jaheim just down there like throwing it around and stuff, that led to a lot of turnovers, especially in the like first half of the Richwoods game. So I think you got to establish some more ball handlers in some ways to like if Braylon's like being denied the ball, how do you still find a way to win?
Mm-hmm. And I think one way, if you do have, obviously you need more ball handlers, but having 3-point shooters out there is just going to space out the whole floor and open up more opportunities. So that's why I'm kind of thinking about a different starting lineup. For the girls, what suggestions do you guys have? You're looking at 18-3, so obviously a good season. But what do you need to be able to win state?
I don't like lineup suggestions. I honestly don't. I think our starting lineup is good. I think the decision to put Sophie in for Amia, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that because Amia brings so much to the table because she's probably one of, if not the fastest player on the team. And she does a good job of being able to actually get to the bucket. Sophie at the same time is another leader. That's what coach has said about her. She's a second leader on the court, and she's probably the most aggressive player other than Reina. So I don't. You got it. You really can't go wrong either way. But I feel like we also need to develop our bench more because they don't get a lot of time out on the court. There's players that we haven't even seen check into a game yet that are available, and I feel like we need to see some more time, like get them to develop and just develop our bench. But our starting lineup is good. Our starting lineup is good though.
So maybe just see more players come in, see more of a variety, try some things out. Like you still got about 10 regular season games to kind of test the waters.
When they do take Olivia out of the game, it just slows down.
Yeah.
It really does. It's it's a big impact because she's obviously the leading scorer, but then our second leading scorer I think is Allie at 9, and that's kind of a big difference from 17 points per game to 9 points per game.
Right.
Not knocking anybody, but I think there definitely needs to when Olivia comes out the game, we kind of seem to fall apart a little bit, and that can't happen.
Needs to be that clear second option.
Yeah, in that P&D game, like all the players just seemed like they were scared to shoot. Like Olivia got her 15, right? Mm-hmm. So she was like the only one that was like really shooting.
And how much did they score?
It was 59, 38.
Yeah, 38. So she scored 15 out of 38.
So she scored over 40% of her team's points.
Yeah, Allie said that they started the game like going down 13-1. They said they won the second and third quarter, but coming back from 13-1. It's
harder to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about some improvements we'd make, but let's talk about improvements that the team has made, overall improvements made by individuals, and how's chemistry been so far this season, starting with the girls?
I think chemistry is probably like our strongest attribute. I think the girls, they get along real, real well. And, you know, coaches said that they do a lot of things as a team, and they, like, celebrate each other's ups and pick each other up on their downs. I think that is probably their best attribute.
Yeah, I would agree. I think one thing to point out was, like, in the Lincoln game where it was obviously out of hand in the fourth quarter, and they put all, like, the backups in, like, still, like, the starters were on the bench and, like, engaged in the game and, like, cheering on their teammates. So I think, like, they all like each other a lot, and I think that's just going to benefit them as the season goes on.
Yeah. I think for the boys, something that I've seen the team improve throughout the season is three-point shooting. Because I know at the beginning of this season it was about 25% from three, and now it's 31%. So if we can see that keep improving, I think that's going to be a big thing. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think that's definitely been something that's improved. I think that's just because they've been getting I think everyone's being more confident in their shots throughout the course of the year. You know, you weren't seeing Braylon take many like off-ball shots earlier in the year. He's taking a lot of those step-back threes from range. You know, everyone's kind of finding their spot. You know, Noah, he'll kind of sit in the corner. You can find him on the cut. He's pretty much unstoppable from there, you could say. You know, people like Nico getting more shots up off the mid-range. He's, like, really good from there. So I think everyone's just, like, finding their role. And, you know, that was a question going into the season. Like, we have all this talent, but what can we do with it? And I think that they've really improved about that so far, and they're kind of turning into a well-oiled machine.
Yeah,
as the seasons went on.
I completely agree with that. And looking back at the two, so both teams took 2 losses in the last 2 weeks. It's actually kind of crazy. So both teams are 18-3, both 6-4A. So it's like really a lot alike. So what do you think they can learn from the losses? I know we talked about this, but how do you think they've handled the losses overall as well?
I feel like we're gonna see. We're gonna see because their next game was the 13th against Molina, got canceled because of weather. So I think, well, first of all, I think that definitely would have been an easy win for the Ironmen because I think Molina is like.
You're calling them trash.
They're trash.
Okay.
They're trash. They're trash. They're trash. That's off the record though. That's off the record. But
it's very much on the
record. But all right. Hopefully they're not listening.
They have another game today against West. So we're gonna see what they do. That's a rivalry game.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
how's West this year?
Let's see. Hold on. Let me pull them up.
I know the West boys have been struggling, but
okay.
I mean, that was still a close game when we played.
West girls are 5-14, 1-4 in conference, 8th in Big 12, and they are coming off of a 70-40 loss against Richwood.
Oof.
Rivalry game though.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in a rivalry game.
Yeah.
Because with the boys, we won by like 3 this year.
I think we said in the broadcast, like all their last 10 matchups, they've been like decided by under 10 points or something like that, no matter what the records are.
Yeah, and West is 7-14 this year, and that's going to be the last game for the boys, and that is at West. So you really never know with those games on both sides.
Yeah, very true. Hey, one thing I noticed about the boys is I only saw the Richwoods game, but Marcus was getting some considerable minutes. What do y'all think his like impact is on the team?
Okay, so actually, I was going to talk about this kind of going into mid-season awards. If I were to give a Defensive Player of the Year award, I think I'd give it to Marcus. He doesn't show up on the stats. Like, you look at the stats, it doesn't really show up. But when you go to the games, he always is just on his man, doesn't give him any space, and he also doesn't let him blow past him. I think whoever Marcus is guarding is just not scoring. So he's been huge off the bench for the Ironmen.
Yeah, he's definitely been someone that like the coach puts in specifically just to press up on a guy if he's starting to go crazy a little bit. He plays real physical defense. He's real active, and he's good at denying the ball, which is like when you start playing really good teams and you start facing really good players, especially in regionals, you're gonna need that guy, especially if you're down and you're gonna like need some stops and stuff. That's a good guy to put in, just get the energy up too.
Yeah, that's one thing community has done well is not letting one person just go off against him, because when we played Lathan Somerville, he had 15, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously he's had games where he's put up like 30 points. And when we played Morez Johnson, he had about 15 or 12, right around there. So we've been able to stop those. It's not defense that's been a problem. I think the defense has been the strongest part of the Ironman. In our 3 losses, they were all 45 points or under of the amount that we gave up, but we didn't cross 40.
Yeah, I think the defense, like I think the game planning's been pretty good on defensively, because it seems like when they play the good players like Merez and Lathan, they're really good players. It seems like they have a good game plan for them, like on who to guard, who to help, who needs to help, and who needs to like you can leave open a little bit. But then we've also seen that like come back to bite them, because I know in the Richwoods game, I forgot who it was, but there's one dude just getting buckets like from
Little.
Yeah,
zero,
he shot like three straight 3-pointers from the wing in like the same exact spot. So it was obvious like the help he was telling, like you can sag off that guy, but then it was coming back to bite him a little bit. But at the same time, Lathan wasn't scoring.
I think Coach definitely said something about that too, because second half 0 was not
No points.
Yeah,
he had 11 in the first, none in the second half.
Yeah, but then I think it was number 13 started to kind of pick it up and go off towards the end of the game.
Number 3 maybe. Was he a shooter?
He was like he was kind of tall, not late.
Did he try to dunk on Noah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yes he did.
Boy, that was so crazy. That was like the craziest thing I seen, bro. I look over the student section. It's like nobody just realized what just happened. Noah almost just got baptized by that.
Bro, well, he didn't, but
I mean, he didn't get baptized. Yeah. I saw him actually dunk on somebody in a game against Hyde Park.
He did it off vert. It was off vert. He took 2 steps and jumped.
And he's only like 6'3", I think it was. And he gets up there.
Lord knows if I was blessed with that talent.
Oh God, bro.
Okay, let's go into some mid-season awards. So looking at the girls' season so far, I'm pretty sure who you guys are going to say for MVP, but let's say it anyway. Who you guys got for MVP?
I think it's Olivia, probably.
Olivia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely Olivia.
It's definitely Olivia. She's clear-cut leader of the team, averaging the most points a game. Field goal percentage is the highest. I think she probably got the most assists because she passed the ball a lot too. But she's definitely the MVP so far this year.
Okay, let's look at most improved. It's a little harder.
I would say
you could go a lot of ways with this.
I think Olivia was really good last season too.
My most improved would be Allie, because she started off the season slow, and she's worked her way up to be that number 2 option, averaging 9 points a game. So I think she'd be my most improved.
There's also been some lineup changes, right? In the
but Allie's been
team
lineup all season.
Yeah. I think there's definitely been some people that are like stepped up too, right?
Yeah,
I saw him.
Amia definitely most improved as well, because was she even on varsity last year? She probably not. She
I don't
probably
think
played.
so.
I think she was on varsity, but
Did she play for varsity and JV? Do it.
She might have.
Switch up, yeah.
So stepping up to that starting lineup spot and having a considerable role, she could also definitely be a candidate for most improved as well.
Okay, Bella and Lucas, who do you guys have?
I mean, I think Allie's probably the most improved. I think you'd also say Amia too, because I mean, when she's in the game, like she didn't play much in the Lincoln game, but like when she came in, she like hit like was it 2 or 3 threes like right away. She came in the game. She's definitely done a good job of stepping up, but I would still give it to Allie because she's gotten a lot better as the season has gone on.
Okay.
yeah. I mean, if we're talking about players that have stepped up and gotten more minutes, like Kenna Malinowski has really like started like getting a role on the team. Like she's getting big minutes.
She's probably our second best shooter. Is that
Yeah.
I think she's our second best shooter on the team. She didn't play too much against Lincoln. She played a decent amount, but she was like helping John bring the ball up, and she would get trapped in the corner a lot. I think that's why she sat for a lot more than she usually does.
Okay, and then last one, let's go. Defensive Player of the Year. This is one that I know what you're gonna say on this
This one's
one.
pretty
Two
obvious.
2.5 steals a game.
Raina Power, but she was averaging like 5 steals a game at the beginning of the season.
Sheesh.
Like it was crazy. It's definitely Raina,
It's crazy.
and it's even better because she struggles to make it to basketball practice because she has soccer practice, and she missed the last game because of soccer. So I think with her still being the best defender,
Wait, she's doing both at the same time?
so with her being the best defender and doing soccer at the same time,
She wasn't even at the Lincoln game.
Oh, that's
She was
insane.
at soccer.
they probably would have put her on Chloe too.
They definitely would have.
Wow, does she start?
She comes off the
Sometimes.
bench.
So if she's coming off the
Sometimes.
bench,
She's been in the starting lineup the last few games.
okay, so sometimes coming off the bench, still averaging 2.5
Yes,
steals a game is
still,
insane.
like coming off the bench, and she's our best defender.
That's kind of crazy.
Which actually, now that I think about it, if I would make a lineup change, I think I'd put her in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
I think I'd put her in the starting lineup.
I mean, defense is huge, and obviously in those games, there were a lot of points that in the games that you guys lost, put up 67 and 59. So definitely defense was needed there.
If I could make my own starting lineup, and I'm not a basketball coach or anything. I think I would switch Raina and Allie Rustammeyer.
Okay.
Allie is she's a good passer.
take.
Hot take.
It's a hot take.
That's a hot
She's
take.
a good passer, but Raina's our best defender. I think we could use that in the starting lineup.
And I mean, defense looks like something that you guys could really.
Isn't Allie also the tallest player in your
Yeah, I
guys'
think she's
starting
the
lineup right
team
now?
in rebounds, too.
So maybe not
And
over
rebounding
maybe,
has-
maybe you need to go over like a guard.
And you were talking
Kinda
about
though.
the bench kind of falling apart. So if you keep a player
Yeah,
like Raina on the bench,
bench
you get a little
leader.
spark.
little
That's true.
Alex
So it's,
Caruso spark.
there's many layers to coaching. BJ, I don't think you're ready.
Obviously, I'm not ready for coaching yet.
I
Yeah,
guess,
okay. Now Ben, on the other hand, I feel like you could be ready for coaching. Let's get MVP. What you got so far?
MVP. That's kind of a hard one because
I know.
there's many different ways you could go with this because I think the scoring leader it's Noah, and then the highlight reels that's Jaheim. He'd be dunking on people.
For sure.
He gets the crowd going. But I would say it's probably Braylon so far. Just the way he commands the game. He gets his buckets every day, every game. He commands the floor pretty well. Usually has his guy on clamp. So I think just all around MVP so far. I would probably say Braylon, but it's much closer than you would think. It's very close.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I would have Braylon at MVP, but it's a close one between him and Noah Cleveland for sure because they're actually tied at 11.9 points per game, and then Jaheim's right behind him with 11. Braylon's leading in steals and assists per game, and also 3-point percentage. But then Noah, on the other hand, leads in blocks and also rebounds. So it's very close, but I would take Braylon just because he's been able to kind of command that whole offense. Looking at most improved, this is a more difficult one. I was thinking about this one earlier. I was struggling with most.
You want to go
improved.
first, bro? I gotta think about it.
Okay. So what I kind of came up with Owen Osborne, which it's a bit of a take. But so at the beginning of the season, I'm kind of looking at most improved from the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season, he was shooting about 15-20% from three. He's gotten that up to 25%, and he's actually started to be someone that they can look at from shooting threes. I think it was so low at the start of the season because he was forcing up shots because he felt like we didn't have 3-point shooters. Now that we have more people that are starting to light it up from downtown, I think he could be a big contributor just being able to play 3 and D. So I think I would take Owen.
Okay. Most improved player. So I would think it's probably between two people that we've already talked about. I would say it's probably between Nico or Connor. Because even
I would
though
take Connor too.
even though they're both established, Nico, I think he's done a really good job. It seems like he continues to be more comfortable in the system as it goes along. I think he dropped 16 in a game in the Martin Luther King tournament. So he's really, I think he's been starting to get really comfortable. He's really found his role. I think he's been pretty good at passing, even though he does like to play the ISO ball a little bit sometimes. And then, we had problems. He had problems early in the season. I know that West game, he had trouble shooting free throws.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen him miss many. So I think he's really did a good job improving to his role in the team. And he has clamps on defense too. I think that's something that's been overshadowed a little bit about the monster blocks. I don't see anyone score on him really.
Yeah.
And then Connor, I think he's really found his role as another ball handler for the team. You know, he's good at like dribbling around people, especially like late in that Richwoods game. He did they were kind of denying Braylon the ball. He did a good job keeping it out of Richwood's hands, like not letting them go on a run. And then also, you know, you said the shooting. That's something that our team needs to like work on still a little bit, and he's probably been the best shooter. So I think he's found his role too. And both players coming in from new places, I think they've done really good in the Ironman program.
Connor coming from Rantoul and Nico coming from Bloomington. I could back up both of those picks. Those are good picks. And then looking at the last one, Defensive Player of the Year, I have to think about this one too. And I said Marcus earlier, but I could also give it to Braylon. I could also give it to Noah.
Yeah, I would probably give it. If you're thinking like strictly defense, I would probably give it to Marcus because he's just the guy you send in if you want to clamp someone up. But then I think he's been toe to toe with some of the best people in the state.
Yeah, he's really been able to shut down some of those best because we played number 3 and number 1 player in the state, both centers, and he shut him down to just
he doesn't
average games.
Yeah, he doesn't back down at all. He really gets after it. So I think he's definitely up there too as decoy.
Yeah, let's look at highlight of the year. So highlight of the year for the boys. What are you thinking, Ben? I have a play in mind.
Oh yeah, you know what we were thinking about. Me and Lucas were in the students, like we were watching. I think when it happened, I think you were there too. When Jaheim just took one dribble, just dunked on Merez. That was a crazy highlight, bro.
Dunked on number 1 player in the state.
I was like, there's like a video on Twitter of like our reactions.
Yeah,
I'm just like standing, just like in shock of what just happened.
Yeah, I had my hands on my head and everything. I was just,
that was awesome.
Yeah.
And then there was a big play last week too. Noah kind of went around Lathan, gave it off to Jaheim, and he had that big dunk in the 4th quarter as well.
Yeah, that
was a big one.
It seems like when the crowd needs to get hyped, Jaheim's always there, and he gets the bench going, he gets everybody going, and it's fun to see. And then when it comes to regionals, you know, sectionals, all that stuff, I think those will be big moments. And hopefully if we have a good crowd, that place will be going crazy.
Jaheim's always there to throw it down. So let's look at circle games. So games.
Can we get a girls' highlight of the year?
Oh, girls' highlight of the year.
So I think we're going to have to go back to the first game that we covered, and it was the Richwoods game. And Olivia had 34 points that game. And she really didn't miss much at all that game, so that's definitely the highlight of the year for sure.
Yeah, she also hit 1,000 points. That's another highlight too.
Dang.
In one game?
Okay. All right, Ben. It's not Wilt, bro.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. That Wilt game never happened. I'm thinking it never happened.
What?
There's no 100-point game. There's no highlight evidence of it, bro.
Okay, there's no way you're saying Wilt did not score 100.
All he had is a paper.
No, I've heard that. It didn't.
That's a wild take.
I don't even think they had a 3-point line back then.
They didn't.
All he had to do was dunk. It was a bunch of 6-foot scrawny guys,
6
bro.
foot 6 foot.
Yeah. Come on,
I
bro.
see some video evidence of him dropping 100 points.
I mean, I could drop 100.
He was
I
playing
could drop
against
100
school
back in the
teachers,
day.
bro.
I could drop 100 in that
You
era.
say he was playing against Mr. Bovenkirk's?
Hey, Mr. Bovenkirk would lock him up, bro. Come on. Okay. Looking at circle games, what are some games to circle for the girls coming into the playoffs? We're getting pretty close. We got a little less than a month to go.
Well, I just looked through the whole rest of the schedule. I think all of our, except one, I think all of our hard games are behind us. The only game that we're going to have trouble with is Peoria. They're 17-1, 5-0 in conference. They're second in the Big 12 right now. Every other team we play after that has a losing record. So, not saying that, they're not going to be hard, but Peoria is the one to circle for sure.
Yeah, but that Peoria game, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like their best player, who's like a top 50 player in the country, is out for the year.
I think she tore her
Yes.
ACL.
I'm sure she is.
She's committed to Iowa, but she's gonna be
Yeah.
out.
I think
She's
she
out
tore
for
her
the year.
ACL. Yeah. Prayers up.
So that can
Where's that
change
stuff?
things, but they're still undefeated in the conference.
Yeah.
So
Definitely still be a tough game for sure.
But we've played like some of the best teams in our area
Mhm.
already. And
Looking at the boys, so obviously there's already been a lot of really tough matchups. We had Downers Grove was number 9 in 4A, I think. And then obviously Wabansi's now number 4 in 4A. But looking at upcoming, we got a lot of great upcoming games. Ben, you want to talk on some of those?
Yeah, we got P&D tomorrow. DePaul College Prep on Saturday.
They're number 3 in 3A.
Yeah, they're very good, so that'll be a good game for sure. Got looks like Peoria High. They're always, a tough team, to go in there and play. Metamora, that's certainly going to be a good one. The defending state champs, Moline. Which one? Who?
Metamora?
Metamora's overrated?
They're number 4 in 3A. They're on a
Cooper
roll
Koch.
now. And they have Cooper Koch.
Cooper Koch
He's a
is kinda
4-star
Dex
power
locked him down
forward.
last year.
Committed to
Dex
Iowa.
did lock him
I'm not
down.
worried.
Okay.
Dex is, you could call him the Metamora stopper. So that is true.
He's committed to Iowa, and he's number 2 in Illinois. Cooper Koch is. He's a 4-star. So, but if you think we can lock him down, I mean, I think they definitely could. I think all you have to do is lock him down, and you got the game.
Wait, who's number 1 in Illinois? Is it Morez?
Yeah, Morris.
Yeah, Metamora does have some losses on the season, so they're not.
They're 16-4.
Yeah, they're certainly not invincible.
They've
so
had
I
a hard
think
schedule for sure.
that'll be a good game. I think the Ironmen are starting to come into their element a little bit, especially with that Richwoods game. It looked like they were. That was certainly a game they could lose because really Richwoods likes to come out swinging. So I think the fact that they won that shows that they're on a good pace, even though they lost 2 games.
Yeah.
Weekend.
Yeah, and then the last one I was looking at is Moline. You started talking about it too. Number 9 in 4A. That's going to be Saturday, February 10th. That's going to be a home game. We will be broadcasting that. Looking at the upcoming broadcasted game, Peoria High for the girls Friday on the 26th of January. Same for the boys. Then Friday at 7:30, a boys broadcasted game against Danville. That's going to be on the 2nd of February, and that last one on the 10th against Moline. And I think that wraps up our time today. For BJ, Ben Kerber, Lucas Drengwitz, and Bella Green, I'm Zachary Knox-Doyle, and this is Inside the Paint.